I'm here with Stuart Bertram from D-D. Stuart is a longtime hobbyist as well as one of the proprietors of D-D Aquarium Solutions in the UK. Aqualumination distributes D-D products here in the US. And one of the newest products, which I'm super excited about after seeing a prototype a couple weeks back, is the JumpGuard. And if you're not familiar with the JumpGuard, I think the name pretty much says it all in terms of what it is and what it does, right?
That's exactly right. So JumpGuard, you can see the picture of the fish on the top there. It's a guard on the top of the aquarium to stop jumping fish. So a lot of you out there will be familiar with coming down in the morning and your prize wrasse is lying crispy on the floor. It happens day after day. This is the kind of solution that will stop all of the fish or any fish that are likely to jump from actually jumping out through the night. The other thing about it is obviously it doesn't reduce any of the light coming in through the tank because of the very fine mesh that we've got on here.
That's very true. I mean, I think I measured it at one point. I had a wrasse make it about 6 feet.
Really?
Yeah, from my tank. And actually, one of the fish in my smaller tank that I have is firefish. And that's something I've never been able to keep before without
a cover on the top of it. Exactly.
Otherwise they just one after another, hop out. And I mean, I think that's a very interesting point too. I mean, we always talk about, obviously these are very inexpensive, but compared to the price of one of your fish, it's extremely expensive. And as you say, I mean, it has virtually no impact on your ability to get par into the tank. I think BRS even did a video showing the effect of a screen top on that. So absolutely, the JumpGuard is just an invaluable product as far as I'm concerned.
One of the things that we need on this is every tank is completely different. So we've got a lot of tanks like this small tank here where you've got the back filter on it, which we'll zoom in and show you later. In this scenario, all you need is really a square frame. What we've done on this particular one is we've put a cutout in, which could be used for lighting. It's not required on this, but on this particular tank, we've got an auto feeder. So obviously, the auto feed or the food needs to drop through somewhere. So we've used one of the lighting or the light bracket cutouts to feed through there, but it wouldn't even have to be used for that. It could be used for pipe work, a small overflow box, wires, cables, anything that you want. And that's just one of the solutions that we've actually got within the kit or within the range to allow you to be totally flexible with your aquarium.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually really impressive because pretty much everything comes in the kit, of which there's 3 sizes, right? This being the smallest.
That's being the smallest, which is 2.5 foot by 2.5 foot. We have a 4 foot by 2.5 foot, and then we have a 6 foot by 3 foot unit here, which is going to cover pretty much all of the aquariums that you're going to have within the hobby.
You can always go in multiple sections too if you want as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, exactly. If you had a 12 foot by 3 foot, you could put 2 of those on there. Obviously, a 12 foot frame would be completely unwieldy, but even on a 6 foot frame, you might want to make it down into 2 smaller frames.
So you get all of this flexibility pretty much right out of the box. But then, in terms of these custom cutouts and being able to construct pretty much anything you want, there's the accessory pack, which is where you get things like, there's 3 basically bracket setups, one of which is a solid, and 2 components.
Exactly, sorry about that, Joe. We have 3 different bracket sets. So what you've got is you've got a complete cutout. Every time you start notching and putting angles in, it tends to add a little bit of flexibility to the whole kit. So what we've got here is we've got a solid cutout, which is very, very rigid, but it's got a fixed width. Now what we also have is we have a smaller one like this, where what you can have is you've got 2 halves of it, and in the middle of here you can actually put, I've got one of the other ones here, you can actually put it into the middle of it. This is the shorter version of it. You can actually put a length of aluminium in the middle, and you can then have a cutout which is a long thin stretch. It could be a short stretch showing the larger cutout like that. Now that will leave the same shape as the large cutout that you've already shown on the tank itself.
But you can just go longer.
But you can go as long as you want.
So if you had what you call it, a orbital overflow
or a long overflow,
overflow.
Exactly. You can notch around a lot of things with it.
So I mean, I think they're absolutely amazing. I mean, we made a couple this morning in addition to the one that I made previously. you know, it comes with these nice tabs, so if you don't have a cutout in there, you can.
It's very easy to pick it off the top.
Very easy to pick up, and then as Stuart said, I mean, the brace gives you a lot of flexibility, especially obviously you don't need it on one this size. We just put it on to illustrate, but what that does is that gives you a nice firm, sturdy frame, but maintains this wonderfully thin profile. I mean, you can see you barely. I mean,
you don't know that it's there.
Really.
It blends in completely with the silicone on the sides. You just don't see it. One of the other things that you might notice on here is that when a tank's obviously constructed, you've got the silicone running up the corner, and that actually takes the chamfer in the corner, takes up some space. So you'll see on the frame itself, it actually has the corners cut out, so it's not you can make the thing much tighter to the. I mean, and it is.
I mean, this fits in perfectly, and we'll go put the 170 on.
Unlike a lot of the frames, this has actually got on the section, it's got a continuous ridge right the way around the outside. So there's no tabs, there's no gluing things on the top to try and make it fit on there. It literally just sits inside, and that's it. Easy to take on, easy to take off.
And I mean, I love these pre-made cutout pieces too, because I mean, obviously you could put a small one on the front to feed the fish, and then you don't have to drop stuff through the frame or lift it up, which is something on a previous frame, not a jump guard, I had to do. So I'm very excited. I thought it was a very cool product to begin with, and now with these, you know, with the accessory pack and you know, and the brace bar and everything else, it's just a wonderfully designed and well thought out piece of kit.
We also have these T-sections as well, so you could actually join two frames together. And so when we were talking earlier about a much bigger aquarium, you could actually join two smaller ones with the T-section, which also incorporates the brace, and then you've got ultimate flexibility.
And that pack will actually be, I don't think it's in the large kit now, but they'll be available from retailers. And
exactly.
Standard, right, in the larger kits.
In the larger kit at the minute, we have these little clips which will clip anywhere along the frame. So this actual frame, you can actually, it's now fixed in by the spline, but you can actually move that anywhere you want up and down the frame, depending on where your lighting position was going to be.
Very cool.
So Jay, this is the one that we first sent you a few weeks ago. Did it take you long to make it?
It probably took, I don't know, 20 to 30 minutes. This one was particularly easy because this one was just the first frame. I think that a couple of things I've learned going along, making a couple of these, and some tips I got from you actually.
Earlier on, yes.
Are, well, one thing is make sure you cut it, you know, you measure twice, so you cut once.
Unlike what you did earlier on.
Right, and funnily enough, I got it right the first time, not right the second time.
Exactly.
For us U.S. users, it's 1.5 inches that you want to cut off the interior dimension. Shorter
than the internal width,
right,
or the internal length.
So you measure this internal length, and this is in the other video, and it's, you know, we'll have a link to that. But basically, you want to go, if this was, say, 20 inches, you would want to go 18.5 to make it accommodate the corners.
And just give a nice amount of space so that it sits neat, sits tight.
And the other thing that I learned, actually, from Stuart about, well, one thing is, I did this correctly the first time, is make sure, obviously, you line up your squares so that you get a nice aesthetically pleasing look. But actually what you also want to do is cut the rubber right at the ends and after the fact. So you might do a maximum of one corner with the rubber stripping, as opposed to trying to go around the whole thing.
So the other tip is we start with one side, move to the other side, and then the third side's fairly easy to do, but if you start from the centres and move outwards and roll out to the sides, as it moves out, it stretches the material and you end up with a much tighter corner here. It may be that afterwards you've then got to peel off a little bit, a couple of inches, and then redo that to really make it nice and square. But there's a technique, but I think that it's something that anybody can do.
It is very, I mean, and this was my first attempt at it. I mean, I'm very happy with how it came out. Actually here, if I wanted to, I could just lift it up and tighten it, because it's a little bit slacker. I mean, it's still sealed, but other than that, I mean, it looks perfect.
You wouldn't notice that.
No, not at all. And I mean, it's, again, you can see, I mean, it fits. This is an innovative tank. Didn't need a cutout. Everything fits perfectly. just one square, taps.
A lot of the tanks that are out there with this rear filter box, you just don't need to have any cutouts at all. It's so easy to be able to lift up to feed. You don't really have to have feeding slots or anything like that, but they are available if you need them.
Absolutely. Very cool. Thank you so much for taking the time and showing us in person how awesome this is. It's really exciting.
Excellent. Thank you.
Very cool. Thank you.